Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at Unholy Night for the Super Famicom, which is a brand new 2017 release from Blaze Pro, and it was apparently developed by former SNK employees. This was a fan-backed game, and supporters were sent their copies in the mail. I, on the other hand, picked mine up in a retro game shop in Akihabara. The plot to Unholy Night concerns a handful of characters trying to prevent the resurrection of some ancient evil force named Catatonia, or at least that's what's going on. As best as I can tell, it's kind of incoherent, and even though the game does give you the option to switch from Japanese to English text, the translation is so horrible it's not really gonna give you any better frame of reference. I'm not gonna mince words here. The gameplay in Unholy Night is pretty damn terrible for a handful of reasons. The most obvious is that this is an extremely choppy game, and this becomes apparent as soon as you start playing. The gameplay is sluggish and the controls are stiff and pretty unresponsive. On top of that, the roster consists of only 6 playable characters, which is pretty lame. The box boasts that this is a 32 meg cart, but I really don't know where all those megs went when games that were released some 25 years ago on much smaller capacity carts had bigger rosters and smoother gameplay. Plus, the characters themselves are fairly generic, as are their movesets. You get a few typical special attacks and super combos for each character, and even if this wasn't such a choppy game, even if it played as smoothly as possible, I think it would still be fairly mediocre. Throw in the choppiness though, and it's just all around bad. It's really a shame and very disappointing, as I thought a brand new 16-bit game made by former SNK employees would be a surefire hit, but I guess it just goes to show you that it took an especially high level of talent to program good games back then, something that's maybe been lost over time. It's either that, or this game was just shipped unfinished, which is also very plausible. Either way, the gameplay in Unholy Night is a dud. The graphics and sound in Unholy Night are also nothing to write home about. This isn't really a bad-looking game, just kind of underwhelming. The character designs are at least kind of cool-looking, and the characters look pretty good in combat, just nothing mind-blowing even when compared to games released in the early and mid-90s. The stages also have kind of cool looks to them, but there's no animation whatsoever, just flat static backgrounds. Again, I have to wonder where the hell those 32 megs went. The sound design is also not terrible. The soundtrack is at least listenable, but it's also very scant. There are only a handful of songs in the game, and they repeat from one stage to the next, which is lame. If I'm playing a fighting game, I obviously want it to have a decent soundtrack to get me into the action, and once I realized I was just hearing the same song over and over again, it's just one more thing that turned me off to this game. I can't think of any other game of this type for the SNES or any other console that didn't at least have a different song for each stage. So while the presentation in Unholy Night isn't as bad as the gameplay, it's still nothing I found terribly impressive. Again, there are games that are almost as old as I am that put this one to shame. So I obviously don't recommend this game to fighting game fans because it's awful. It's not a very good game at all. If I'd backed this game on Kickstarter, I'd be kind of upset right now. Unholy Night, definitely not worth the 40 to 50 bucks that you'll be asked to pay for it brand new. I would suggest go back, play any of the other 2D fighters on the SNES. If you really want to get your 16-bit fighting fix, go and play the original Street Fighter II. It is a far superior game, and you can pick it up for less than 10 bucks, which is a steal. Unholy Night, definitely pass on this game. Not worth playing, not worth your time, not worth your money. It's really too bad.